The first of 3 secrets that will help you get ahead of 99% of riders is independent practice. And I'm not talking about your weekly ride with buddies. I'm talking about intentional drills, similar to those you do in a class. Taking a class once or twice a year can give you a false sense of confidence. I'm not calling out anyone but myself here. In my first 6 years on YouTube, you can see me taking a bunch of classes about once a year. There was one year when I took like 12, but still essentially being a pretty bad rider. It wasn't until my 7th year of riding last year that I started practicing on my own that I really started to master the skills that I had been learning in class. Retired motor instructor that has been teaching civilians for the past 25 years, Jerry Palladino, he puts it as, if you don't lose it, you lose it. Champ School says the skills you learn are perishable. Moto Jitsu has an 80-20 rule. He says that 20% are the classes, and the 80% of your skills comes from the practice you do when you leave the classroom. He is a retired Marine drill sergeant, so he may be a little more efficient in practicing than maybe you and I are. At least for me, I think it's more of a 1 to 30 day ratio. For every 1 day of class, I need to practice for like 30 days. So let's say if you just take 1 class a year, then practice at least once a week, 10 to 15 minutes every weekend for the rest of that year. And those 30 times, that's including maybe a quarter of the time you can't make a weekend here and there. And then the next time you go to class, everyone's going to think you're some prodigy. I'd call that the minimum of the maximum. So that might not make you into a black belt, but in jiu-jitsu, only 10 to 20% of white belts will reach the next belt level of blue belt. And that's not even to mention how many people never even try jiu-jitsu. If you just do a little bit of practice, you're already ahead of the game. Okay, and what about some of you who can't ride for winter? Have you ever heard of mental imagery? It's a concept recommended by sports psychologists to athletes and Olympians. So there have been studies done that when you mentally visualize exactly an exercise as you're doing it, what your hands are doing, what your body is doing, what your head is doing, your brain will fire small impulses to the body parts you're thinking about moving. Another study compared golfers who visualized their putting performance and found that those who visualized it versus those who just didn't actually improved their putting skills. So, watching YouTube videos and practicing yourself doing the skills can actually help you get through the winter. It has been shown to make a huge difference for your confidence and anxiety level. The second secret is getting feedback from a professional. If you don't have access to a professional, then at least someone who is better at it than you are. So maybe you can't go into a course in person where you can get that professional feedback on your skills so that you're not practicing the wrong thing for the next 30 practice sessions. A lot of these YouTube certified instructors have online courses and curriculums. Champ School, which offers track racing with professional racers, they have an online curriculum, and they also have an online curriculum just for the street and even traffic survival tips, which if you've seen my Truth About Motorcycle Accidents video, you'll know most accidents happen around traffic at intersections. You'll have to check with each YouTuber instructor, but a lot of them, for their Patreon members, their Discord, their channel members, they'll give you feedback if you send them a link of yourself practicing. And this is something I haven't mentioned on my channel in years. I have a Patreon and channel members, and this is something I'm going to offer starting this year, now that I've done 12,000 U-turns in the past year. So if you're a Patreon member, just DM me a link to you practicing and I can watch it. Or if you're a channel member, send me an email and just put in the subject line, channel member. Just keep in mind that I'm not a black belt. I'm not a certified instructor in these kinds of things. You can think of me as your tutor or your Hermione Granger. I can help with some things of your homework, but there are some other black belts that I'd recommend, especially if you're getting into the more advanced skills. but I'm gonna keep practicing. So maybe 6 months to a year from making this video, that'll be different. The third secret, and don't go away after that because I have a bonus for you, is track your progress. So there have been studies that have found that reducing the amount of time it takes for you to see results can make a huge difference in your motivation to keep going. So this is why some people who maybe they start a new workout routine, they don't keep up with it because their only gauge is, how do I look? It can take you about a month before you start noticing changes in your body. So for me, I could never keep up a workout on my own. I had to do some kind of sport like martial arts or something. Just this past year, I had a very specific motivation. I wanted to be able to easily and comfortably lift my bike. So I started tracking my body metrics every week. And in 1 week, if I could find that I increased muscle mass by 0.1 pounds, that was so motivating for me. This is the first time in my life where I've actually kept out a workout routine on my own. A boring, no fun, no game, just workout routine. I have a really good motivation and I see results every week. That's why I think it's so helpful to record yourself while you practice. That's something I messed up with on my last 100 U-turn challenge on the Harley. I did 3,000 U-turns and I was recording it, but I just didn't stop to look at my video footage like I did when I first started the challenge on my bike.
All these U-turns are starting to get real monotonous.
And if I hadn't committed to making a YouTube video of it, I probably would have quit because it didn't feel like I was making any progress. And it wasn't until I actually finally reviewed the footage and I saw that from day 1 to day 7 to day 15 to day 20 to day 30, the progress was huge. So if you want to get ahead of 99% of riders, I challenge you to practice your slow speed skills for just 10 to 15 minutes every day for the next 21 or 30 days, because apparently only 1% of you watching has even done that. And if you take any classes, say it's a 2 or even 5-day course, let that count as part of your practice. I don't think you have to do it straight. If you want to be that hardcore, more power to you. After you've done that, your skills will be the best you've ever had them in your life. Really? What I just said isn't totally necessary? We're overachievers over here. In order to keep your skills sharp, Jerry says that all you really need is 10 to 15 minutes practice once a week. You're already ahead of 96% of riders. We need to do better, people. And finally, the bonus, accountability. It's been shown that people work harder when we think or know that other people are watching. So can you do this with a friend? Either in person or digitally. The thing about in person is that another person could be an obstacle for you to practice. You gotta coordinate your schedules, but maybe it's just digital. Maybe you just send it to each other. Maybe you're a Patreon or a channel member and you send it to me. Or put it on YouTube, send it to public, let the trolls come. Maybe not, I don't know if I recommend that as much, but that's an option too. And remember that a lot of these YouTuber certified instructors offer feedback to their Patreon and channel members. Let me know down below in the comments if I've missed anybody. Congratulations, since watching this video and applying the techniques, you're in the top 1% of riders. And now, your riding is probably going to be capturing a lot of attention, including to non-riders. They're all going to try to scare you from riding. Newsflash, motorcycles aren't as dangerous as people think, and I have the data to prove it. Check out the truth about motorcycle accidents next, right over here. See you in the next one.